At the risk of sounding like a broken record with these mini reviews, I'll mention yet again that the negatives of the gameplay stood out to me more than the positives with NHL 12. In fairness, perhaps it's because I can only play against the AI, and an online experience would be totally different, but needless to say, the AI still feels cheap to play against, and it's often, and really, let's be honest, it's never fun to run into score lines like this. That said, yet again, this is the best game in the series to date, top to bottom, although rather than discussing gameplay first, I'll say something that we haven't been able to say in a long time when talking about the EA NHL series. Be a Pro got some love. Be a Legend makes its debut, as does Be a CHL Pro for those of you who want to see Nail Yakupov actually be successful. Now, it's not an insane amount of legends, but it was still a big deal at the time, and obviously trying to break their records is still an infamous process. Unfortunately, as a result, other modes took a backseat, Be a GM being the main one, but of course it had its time in the spotlight, and in its current state with NHL 12, it's still a really fun game mode to play and still a solid experience, and to note again, EA, SHL, and HUT, not playable with the servers being down. The only Xbox 360 titles to have the servers still up would be NHL 14, 15, and Legacy. Speaking of Legacy, don't plan on reviewing it because it's basically NHL 15 reskinned. Aside from the Be a Pro changes and the addition of the newly reestablished Winnipeg Jets, gameplay is the standout, although the trailer for the game will tell you nearly everything you need to know. Improved goalie interactions, i.e. knocking the ever-loving hell out of them, new desperation saves that totally aren't frustrating, broken glass, hitting players into the bench, net front battles, manual one-timers, dragging your foot at the blue line, and a whole new physics engine because they bust out that feature every couple of years. Not to mention the debut of the Action Tracker and the Winter Classic, which again, for the love of God, can we bring this back and integrate it in the franchise, have generic football and baseball stadiums? Doesn't matter, and that can't be that difficult to do, and having the Winter Classic back in would add a lot to the game. Out of all the games thus far, is this the one that I'd come back to play if I had to choose? Maybe, but not without finding a slider set that makes the AI a little bit more enjoyable to play against. A few hours isn't enough to ruin some of the fond memories I have with these games, especially NHL 12, but I can't say I view these games as the pinnacle of the EA NHL series at this point, and I think that comes down to the legacy issues that we still see in NHL 19 to this day, inconsistencies with collision detection, animations triggering, etc. I will say this in closing, NHL 12 is remembered as perhaps the pinnacle of this era because NHL 13 implements a new and very controversial change to the skating that you will see in the next episode.